The key to know whether you're going to be successful or whether you're not going to be successful is how you answer this one question. Do you find yourself doing what you say you're going to do in that moment? Or do you find yourself saying, oh, I'll do that later. Oh, I want to do this. Yeah, someday I'll do this. And then in time, the excuses build up and you start to say, oh, well, maybe it's too late to start that. Oh, I don't know how to do that. I don't really feel like it anymore. It's not really worth it at this point. It's probably not going to work out anyway. If you find that's a pattern in the way you think, and you're always saying you're going to do something, but not actually doing it or putting it off, you're going to find yourself in the same cycle, in the same loop. And in addition to that, a lot of people in this category tend to go to people with a similar mindset and talk to them about the idea. And that person is going to reinforce the negative side of it. So really, in that case, you're kind of subconsciously looking for an excuse why you shouldn't be doing it, because it's easier just to stay where you're at, and that is the ego. The ego tries to hold us back because it fears change and it wants to keep us safe in a familiar place because change is scary to it. Now, if this sounds like you and you tend to put off things and make excuses and then let the doubt set in when you think about it for too long and start overthinking all of the technical side of everything and start to let the doubt set in whenever you start to think of all the logistics and all of that, if this is you, and you're ready to start shifting into a more positive mindset where you actually do get these things done, where you are living the life you want to live and achieving all of the goals you have, stop making excuses and say, you know what, let's do it, let's get it started. You know what, maybe it seems hard, but I'm going to do it anyway, and this is where I'm going to start. If you would rather have that type of thinking, I'll give you a few ideas on how you can redirect this thinking into the positive way of thinking, and you can get these things done for real. First and most important, when you look at a successful person, what do you see? How do they act? How do they respond to a good idea when they get one? They get started. Even if they're not ready, they still get started because they know that they're never going to feel ready if they wait around for it. You're never going to feel ready to jump into something that feels super unknown. If you haven't tried it before, it's always going to seem unknown until you try it. So you just got to jump right into it. So they know this. They understand the risks, but they still do it anyway. And they do it quick. They take that leap of faith and they don't fear the change. They don't fear the failure. And if they do, they do it anyway. Now, unsuccessful people are really never going to encourage you to go after your goals unless they're practical and something that makes sense to them. If you ever notice, you get a chance to talk to somebody who is successful and you tell them about your goals and your dreams that you have, they're going to encourage it. And they're going to say, okay, where are you going to start? What are you doing to start this? But if you talk to somebody with a limited mindset who is never doing what they say they're going to do and who fears change and lets that take over their life, they're going to say, don't do it. That's scary. You don't know if it's going to work out. It's probably not going to work out. Nobody wants to buy that. Nobody wants to do that. There's so much that goes into that. Whatever excuse they want to use, they're going to throw them all at you. So if you notice when you talk to a successful person and somebody who is not living the life that they want to be living, you will see that difference clear as day. So I want you to think back to instances when you told certain people certain things. Did you notice this? Now moving on to my next point, and arguably the most important point, is the importance of the trust you have in yourself. Because if you can't trust yourself to keep your word to yourself, your mind is not going to trust you when you want to do something even more risky, because it's going to seem even more scary because you don't even have the self-trust to begin with. Now, saying you're going to do something and not doing it is just reinforcement that you can't trust yourself. 1, it makes it easier to continue to break promises to yourself. 2, it's the cause of procrastination. And 3, it causes bad habits and negative thinking. So how you're going to begin to change this is if you find yourself really deep in the procrastination loop, or even the smallest thing you're putting off, like there's a piece of paper on the floor and you say, I'm just going to pick that up later or whatever. If you find yourself even doing that for small things, you're going to start small. You're going to start saying, you know what, I'm going to pick up that piece of paper now. Start learning to keep promises to yourself. and show yourself that you can trust yourself. Because if you go in there and you say, oh, next time I come in here, I'll pick that up, you're probably just gonna say, okay, well, next time I come in here, I'm gonna pick it up because I still don't want to do it now. So rather than reinforcing lies into the way of thinking, start doing the small things, less overwhelming, and then you can build up to the bigger things. So you're not immediately jumping into the hardest thing, which is like maybe starting a business if you're like me. Next and last one, make life easier for your future self. These all kind of go hand in hand. Every single time you think about putting something off, think about your future self and think about how grateful your future self would be if you just did it now. If you just did it now rather than saving it for them to do later. And then when you start doing this and taking this into account, then you'll be very thankful for your past self for just doing it then. You're like, oh, I'm so glad that I don't have to do this now because I did it earlier today. And then start thanking your past self. Be like, thanks, past self. That was helpful. Now I don't have to do it now. Thank you for doing that for me earlier. Literally thank yourself. And I don't care if that sounds stupid to you. Do it anyway. Because if your friend or somebody you care about does something to help you out, you would thank them, as long as you're polite. What makes you think that you don't deserve that reinforcement just because you're yourself and you're doing it for yourself? Thank yourself anyway. And it's gonna make you feel more inclined to do more because you feel appreciative. So it's like a new way of seeing it all. So if you want to start seeing greater success in your life, stop putting things off. Stop not doing things you say you're going to do. And while you're doing that, start to distance yourself from people who think this way too, because even if it's just you limit what you talk about with them, you don't bring up your goals and ideas to them anymore. Maybe you just keep that to yourself. But start showing yourself that you can and will do the things that you say you're going to do by proving it to yourself. And you're gonna get so far with that. It seems like a very simple thing, but sometimes it's so hard to just start. So get past that fear and just start anyway, even if it seems scary, even if it seems like it's not the most safe or logical option. You have to get past that way of thinking. And when you have an idea that feels good, don't ignore it. Don't let it sit there and marinate in your worry, because that's not going to do any good for you besides limiting your happiness options one by one. If it doesn't make you happy, obviously don't do it. Don't do things just because it's safe, if that's not what you want to do. So consider what you really want and start doing what you really want. And if you're going to talk to somebody about something like a big goal or a big dream or starting a business, find a successful person. Somebody who didn't get to where they are the traditional way. So that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know if you have any other video suggestions. If you like stuff like inner work and self-improvement content, mindset shift, all of that type of thing, don't forget to subscribe. I would love to have you as a part of my community. Please like this video if you enjoyed, so I know, and I'll see you in the next video.